How many folks, and I know that I'm doing a lot of exercise here, how many folks actually have a smartphone in this room, right hand? Do you know if I asked that question a year ago, there would be half of you that raise your hands, if that? 2 years, for the folks that don't have a smartphone, there's hope. Right? Now let me tell you why. Because in 2 years, I don't think you're going to buy anything but a smartphone. Right? Because the price is coming down, and it's great. It allows us to communicate in a multi-channel way. But this hardware revolution has changed a lot of things. We can read our books online. We can actually get an application that it can assemble our content from the New York Times, Washington Post, Fast Company, called Flipboard. It's an application, and I can read all my content on my reader, whether it be a tablet or an iPad, right? So the way we can actually do things have changed because of the technologies that are made available to us. I know this is going to be a stretch, but I got to keep asking these questions because next year I'd like to know, you want to go to the next audience. How many folks are on Foursquare here? All right, great. Did we check in yet? No, I didn't check in yet either, but anyway, shame on me. But it's another tool to allow us to communicate. It's not about what I'm having for lunch either, by the way, but it's really about our business. And actually, using these tools, you can actually share information about your business. But at the end of the day, it's all about multi-channel marketing. And sometimes I go into a deep dive in this, so I got to be careful not to let the ADD kick in and go down this path. But if you want to reach your target audience, we have to think about what channels and what medias they're in. And I'm going to talk about this throughout my presentation to drive home that point, right? Because depending on what we're trying to sell, a product, service, asset, raise money, what channels, what medias, and then how will people respond to my campaign to make it effective. So all of these things have come into play. Here's a good example that I like to use in a multi-channel effort based on data. Anybody that knows me, I always want to have a good marketing database before I go to market. We need to be able to segregate that marketing data and then target folks based on the channels and the medias they use. Do we agree? Right? My dad is not on Facebook. My dad has money. It doesn't mean that my dad reads print because he's old, but he does. And he spends money and he buys things. So we have to think about these things. I don't care if there's all kinds of new medias. We need to know them. But then how do we want to reach our target market? So one of the best practices I like to talk about when we're doing these marketing campaigns is building a better database, right? Does anybody know right now where you can get your best marketing data for your projects? Is it USA data? Is it AccuData? No, where is it? It's from this database you build yourself. So if there's one best practice takeaway today is when you're doing a marketing campaign, try to gather more information in that campaign, just one piece. So then we can actually separate that data later on. So that's one of my best practices. I'm going to do a few of those. Here's the red eye burner. Anyways, tying it all together. Let's take a minute, step back. This used to be 3 slides. I put it in one. And I think it's helpful in one. And I'm going to walk you through it. In today's multi-channel world, there's some major things we need to do. One is we need to start with a plan. Whatever we're trying to bring to market, we need to have a plan. Are we selling a product, service, asset? Are we raising money? Who is the target audience? How do they use and digest this information? Right? Whether it be print, email, texting, it doesn't matter. Right? What channels are we going to use to reach that target audience? You notice how I have everything in here? I've got Facebook, Twitter, I've got QR codes. We're going to talk about those today. You don't have to raise your hands for those in a little while too. But anyways, direct mail, the web, newspaper, magazines, and then I have all these social media networks. Because together, we're tying it all together. We do this. The idea is to get our product, service, asset noticed, and then guess where they go most of the time? Your website, right? So we're going to keep that in the mix here. Right? So